together. Good evening and welcome. My name is Judge Kim Shumate, and I am the teen court judge here in the courthouse. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the start as we begin our teen court year together. This is an open house, and so there's a few objectives that we have today. I want to introduce you to the concept of teen court. I want to introduce you to some of the people that you may be entrusting your students to. I want to give you the chance to see a mock trial to see what teen court will be all about. And then I want to give you a chance to have some time out in the lobby area with some of our returning students so you can ask the real questions. Why do you do this anyway? Is it even worth my time? Was it really all that much training? All the real life stuff where the students can answer those questions for you honestly and openly outside when we get there later. So just come on in and have a seat. We'll find a spot for everybody. Just keep moving them in. Those of you who are in the back that are returning students, just keep waving people in. If we have to, we'll stand along the edges. We'll make it happen. Thank you. Good to see you all. Again, my name is Kim Shumate, and there are several adults that are working with our teen court program this year, and I want to talk to you a little bit about who those adults are. If I'm an adult and I have a student that's going to a program, I want to know with whom I'm entrusting those students. It's important for me to know who those adult mentors are. So if you're here today as one of those parents, that may mean something to you. So I put some names over here on this board because otherwise I tend to speak so quickly you have no idea what I just said. So my name is Judge Shumate. Then we have two coordinators who are volunteer. Everybody on that list is a volunteer. They volunteered with our program since we began our initial work in '97 and started our courtroom work in '98. And Ms. Helen Jacobs is here. Can you wave your hand, Ms. Helen? Some of you may not be able to see her behind the board in the jury box. Ms. Helen Jacobs is our teen court coordinator, and she's been with us through all of those years. And she works directly with the defendants that we bring in and works to help keep our program as a whole together and make sure they carry out the sentences that our teen court juries assign them. Our student coordinator is Ms. Susie Douglas, and you probably saw her outside. She's out there at the end making sure that our refreshments are together. She coordinates our high school volunteers, assigns you your cases, makes sure you get to your meetings. And so she'll be the face that your volunteer students will more likely see. The defendant's face will more likely see Ms. Jacobs. And so those are our two coordinators that make this program work. Also, we have commissioners, local practicing attorneys who act as the judges during our teen court sessions that regularly practice law in the courthouse on other nights. And those are Ms. Phyllis Loneman, Ms. Dawn Loneman-Blair, Ms. Teresa Logston, Ms. Margot Barnett, Teresa Renee McMahon, and Leanna Dallin. And Ms. Dallin is here today. She's going to wave her hands. These are individuals who regularly teach collegiate courses as well as teach teen court. And they taught previously high school as full-time teachers. They are prosecutors, they are defense attorneys, they work with a Commonwealth attorney and a county attorney, they have private law practices, and so they have a wealth of knowledge, experience, and a love of teens, and that's why they volunteer to do this job. I will tell you that they could be at their offices doing other things, all the hours they put into teen court, and be charging someone for that time. But instead, they give it to us at teen court. And so they're a wonderful part of our program. Our technology, all things tech, is Mr. Josh Astor. I'll let Mr. Astor wave. Mr. Astor is a teen court alumni, but he is more importantly at this point a teacher at North Hardin Christian School. And he has agreed for his second year to come back and really focus for us, helping us keep our technology up to date. And then Ms. Amy Klocko is my judicial secretary, and when you call my phone number, that's who you're going to get. When we say Miss Amy, you're getting my secretary, Miss Amy Klocko. And so she'll be the one when you say, can I do this, can I do that, where's this schedule, where's this piece of paper. Miss Amy will be that go-to person. While I'm in the courtroom, she's in the back fielding calls and emails and making things happen in the courthouse. So come on in. If there's not a seat available, if you'll work your way around that wall, that would be great. And you have to come front and center in front of everybody, but that's okay. Come on down and go this way. And we'll try and get everybody together. If you're comfortable enough, John, you're welcome to find a seat if you want to sit on the floor. Feel free. Okay. Thanks, gentlemen. So it's good to have you all here to learn a little bit about our teen court program. And Ms. Dallin, I know you all, and Megan, I know you'll have a long day. You're welcome to say everything that you already know. Or if you want to do the wave, we love you, and parade through, you can do the promenade as well. So thank you all very much. We appreciate it.
It's good to see everybody. I hope to see you next week when we start.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you all. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the teen court program itself. I want you to see some of the faces of the adults that we entrust you with. Our Hardin County Teen Court program is unique in the state of Kentucky in that we actually have what we call our own student government. They have labeled themselves the League of Justice, and they've elected their officers at the end of the spring to be getting ready for the summer to start this year off with a bang. And so without further ado, I want them to introduce themselves to you, because that's what they do best when teens take over the courthouse. So your chair of the League of Justice is Mr. Logan Simmons. Logan, would you like to come up and greet these folks and introduce your corps of officers? Logan?
Hi, my name is Logan Simmons. I'm a senior at North Hardin High School, and as you heard, I am the chairman of Teen Court. Teen Court has 6 offices, 6 main offices, and it has 4 offices that the chair selects. Right under me, my vice chair is Ms. Katie Natalie. We have our secretary, Mr. Virgil Line. Our treasurer, Ms. Caitlin Tucker. Our reporter, Ms. Nadine Ba. And we have our historian, Ms. Jerry Pearson. Mary Giron. Mary Giron. I apologize. We have our education chair, Mr. Nate Reisner. Right? Yeah, Reisner. He's getting Nate down. Okay, guys. We have our recruitment chair, Mr. Sam Smith. Not the singer, the other one. And we have, last but certainly not least, Mr. Cooper Lawler, our social chair. These people are the ones that run Teen Court, along with the League of Justice. We are called the Executive Committee. We come up with these plans, and then we put them before you and see which one you would like to go through.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. So Teen Court really is the opportunity for teens to take over the courthouse. We want to talk to you a little bit about that concept tonight. There's some materials that I gave you, and as we kind of go through those, it'll help you understand the program a little better. You do not have to have any of these tonight. I just put them out there so that if you want them, you know you've got them. They'll be out there again our first night of training. Our schedule is set for the year. I'm one of those planners. I want to know what the obligation is. If you're here tonight trying to make a decision about do I want to or not want to do this, what are the expectations, that's what I want you to understand about tonight so you can make an informed decision about whether or not this is something that's for you or for your team. So this is our schedule, set in stone between now and the end of the school year. Each school year we start fresh and everybody trains fresh each school year. Somebody said to me, but I've done this for 3 years. I'm a senior. I did it starting in my sophomore year. Why? This is my 3rd year. Why do I have to train again? And I looked at him and I said, okay, if I was the football coach and you told me the first football game, you showed up and said, hey, I'm your star quarterback, showing up for the first game, I'd say, excuse me, we've been doing conditioning since May. We've been practicing all of our plays in the playbook since June. You want to show up on the first night of a game and be in charge? So we train as a team all through each year. So even if you've been in Teen Court before, you will be assisting. Our executive committee actually will assist us in our training, but you train the whole time just like everybody else. And so these are the schedules we have. Tonight's the open house, so you know you're already one and done. And then our training sessions, these are Thursday nights from 6 o'clock to 8:30, right here in the courthouse. And so those are the training nights here. Because the vast majority of our students come from Hardin County schools, we use the Hardin County school calendar, and we don't do any Thursday night where there's no Hardin County school. So these are not actually 6 consecutive Thursdays because we skipped the Hardin County fall break. So those are the Thursdays. Our training is mandatory. Tonight is just open house. Once we start next week, all of our returning students will be back. We generally train about 100 local high school students, and you must attend all 6 trainings in order to be eligible to be sworn in and be a part of Teen Court. And some of my older parent volunteers are going to come up and take up the jury box for me. So feel free to do so. So these are our 6 training nights that are mandatory. They do begin next Thursday night right here. Now, the first thing somebody's going to say is, may as well get up and leave because I've got Thursdays filled already. Okay? Don't do that just yet. Because when my daughter was in band at North Hardin High School, she was in marching band with Mr. Froge, late night Thursday nights, every single Thursday night. And she said, Mom, I can't do Teen Court because I've got marching band. I said, oh, no. We'll do makeup sessions, darling. And so we created those makeup sessions. And I used to do another Tuesday night with a group in the Radcliffe Courthouse who were just North Hardin High School band students. And then it got really tiring training for 2.5 hours on Tuesday live and 2.5 hours on Thursday live, and it was wearing me out. So I was like, surely there's a better way. And someone said, we have technology. Why don't we record them? That was back in the days of VHS tapes. That's how long ago that was. So we recorded them, put them on VHS tapes, and we came and sat after school or on Saturdays and plugged in a VHS tape. Well, now people are like, well, we have much better technology. And so we put them on our website. And then our website was getting too bogged down. There was too much information for the website. So this year, because we are always on the cutting edge of technology, not because of me, frankly, but because we have teams who are, we have created a private YouTube channel. And you'll be able to make up the sessions that you missed through a private viewing of the YouTube channel and taking a quiz to make sure you didn't sleep through those 2.5 hours of training. But we'll do all that online, and you'll be able to do that. And you'll be able to also, if you say technology is not my thing or it didn't work, then you'll be able to physically come after school by appointment to see Miss Amy, and you'll be able to make an appointment here, come see her at the courthouse and watch it here. Or better yet, your online sessions, you'll be able to email her, and she'll give you the code to be able to open that particular YouTube video. And if you have that need to do that, if you think that's something you're interested in, I did not put out there because I don't expect there to be that many students to need it. I've got some specific information about how to do the online makeups, because the intention is that you do all 6 sessions live here so that you have the energy of training, you have the opportunity to interact with other people and be a part of that program. So my intention is everybody trains live. And so I didn't put those questionnaires out there, but if you need one, get one tonight or another evening. If you have a friend who said, gosh, I would have gone with you if I'd known we could have made up on YouTube, then tell them about it and let them make up. Because we often find that those who are involved in fall activities may be free come winter or spring. And that's when the rest of these dates are here. The court dates are the dates here in about 2/3 of the way down. Those are court nights for cases that we're actually holding the trial work here. The League of Justice, we have a large group League of Justice, and those dates are also non-court Thursdays. And then our executive committee, we have those folks here who are part of the executive. They already know when they're meeting to do their planning on other non-court Thursdays. So it's all Thursdays, it's only during the school year, and it's not when school is out. It's after school in the evenings. So that's what our student responsibilities are. Once we finish the mandatory 6 weeks of training, 6 training modules, once we finish those, then the rest of the court nights, you come because we need you to be the jury or because we've assigned you to a particular role. If you are not assigned to a particular role, you're in the random draw to be the jury. If we're here about jury trials, who makes the decision in a jury trial? The jury. So we need you if you're not in a role. But we also tell you, parents, I'm going to tell you why you're here tonight. If your student has a big chemistry exam, history exam, whatever it is on Friday, do not send them to me on Thursday night. Their #1 job is to be a good student. And if you say teen court is interfering with you being a good student, then we have got some priorities mixed up, okay? Your #1 job is to be a good student. And you can make up that training module if you have to make sure that your student work at school, your grades are not suffering because of this work, okay? So if they tell you, Mom, I have to go to teen court, I can't study for that test, you say, I heard that she did not say that. Okay? So make sure that your schoolwork is your first priority. And we work on those things together. All right, so that gives you an idea of where we are. The swearing in, the graduation swearing in is a Sunday afternoon at Pritchard Community Center here in E-Town. That's the one date on here that is not a Thursday. You are not required to be at the swearing in. We can swear you in on another night. Sometimes that's close to fall break and people are traveling or they have other responsibilities, whether it's family or religious, that keeps them from being present on that afternoon. It's okay. Don't let that keep you from doing teen court, okay? Somebody says, what does it cost to do teen court? And I usually tell them it's about a $2,500 value, but tonight, and tonight only, it is yours for 3 low payments of free. The teen court does not cost you anything. Now, for some people, if your school doesn't have a really strict dress code, and if wherever you worship doesn't have a really strict expectation, you might have to buy a couple pieces of clothing. Okay? Can I borrow you? Can I borrow you? Okay, gentlemen, just right here. Modern, GQ. Sometimes our gentlemen like to dress in full out blown suit and tie. Okay? Sometimes they just say a bow tie is all I need to sport tonight. Okay? Thank you, gentlemen. You do not have to wear a tie in teen court. But you find over time that if you want someone to respect you, it turns out in society today, people look at how you appear. It matters how you present yourself. And so oftentimes we find gentlemen that wear ties. I do expect a collared shirt, whether it's a soft collar like a polo golf shirt, or whether it's a button down, it has to be collared, it has to be tucked in, it has to have a belt, and it has to have pants, no jeans, no denim, and actual shoes, not tennis shoes, okay? So for some of you, that means you might have to actually buy a belt. Or you might buy a pair of dress pants, but guess what? I'm pretty sure mom or dad or grandparents are going to say, you mean I could buy you a pair of dress pants and it's not jeans? They are not going to turn you down, okay? And for those of you who follow me and follow our Teen Court site, I am forever showing you where to find the dress shirts for $6.99 or where to find the dress pants that are on sale wherever they might be. So Goodwill works as well as everywhere else, okay? You'll look good, Will, when you finish there, I promise. So make sure that you get those folks there. Ladies, we'll talk to you more specifically. Ladies tend to have a wider array of things that we might wear. Give me like all four of the ladies. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come right up here, okay? We have everything from pants and skirts and dresses and suit coats, everything, right? We've got the whole array of what ladies might wear. Thank you all, you may be seated. They are in the most conservative attire of Teen Court, okay? Because they're here to do mock trial for you tonight and really impress you. But the ladies, again, it's the same thing. I want to see you modestly dressed, and I expect that you'll have your arms covered at least to 3 lengths, and that your dresses will be down to your knees. I want to see that kind of work together. This is about professionalism, not about our fashion parade, okay? So we want to make sure that that's the kind of aura that we're giving. If you dress professionally, you behave professionally, and that's just what I've seen over the years. The nights that we do training, and we say you can come in denim and a t-shirt for training, you will find that the energy in this room is very different than the nights when we come dressed professionally for Teen Court. It just is. And so we acknowledge that when we do our work together. So when you train, you may come modest casual. What you wore to school, if it meets a school dress code, will probably meet modest casual for me. But when we get into our regular nights, when we bring in defendants and their families, they don't trust their real life cases to teenagers in jeans. They look at you and go, you got this covered? You look at these students and you say, oh yeah, they got this covered. So make sure that we understand that about what we're doing. So no cost unless you happen to buy a little bit of clothing, and you can probably talk your folks into that, and you can probably find a bargain, especially right now with Labor Day. So if you need a pair of dress shoes, Labor Day is the time to go buy a pair of dress shoes. All right. Commonly asked questions, you can look at these later, refer them. If a friend says, what did you do? What was that answer? I don't remember. That's one of your commonly asked questions issues there. Teen Court attire, that's a little bit of a reminder about what that might be for Teen Court attire. Now we talk about the students that come. I'm going to give you a quick reminder of the students that come. Freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. If you have an older sibling that is in Teen Court, I can bring an 8th grade student in to simply be a monitor. They can watch but not participate, kind of like warming the bench in your 8th grade year, if you have an older sibling that's here. Because what I mean is if I've got a parent here and I've got an older sibling here and I left the 8th grade at home alone, why not bring them along and let them watch? Okay, they will not be signed to roll the whole year. Don't ask me, it's not going to happen. My daughter did her 8th grade year, my son did his 8th grade year, didn't happen, okay? So you can do those 8th grade years as a monitor, just to watch if you want to do that and you have an older sibling. I've had 2 phone calls this week. But we know you, Judge Schumate. Can we please do our 8th grade student? Do you have an older sibling? No. Then the answer has to be no. I got to have a bright line test. It's what I do all day long. Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it with the law? Is it not with the law? So don't ask. I'm going to say no. All right. So that's the students we're talking about. Private school, homeschool, public school, Hardin County, LaRue County. If you know any of those people that didn't come with you tonight, invite them to come back next week for training. Those are the students we're looking at. So that's our student base. So let's see who's here tonight. I'm going to try and do this geographically. Let's start up toward the north end. Fort Knox, my alma mater, raise. Yes! Look at you students from Fort Knox. Yes. Mr. Kessinger, yes? Yeah, yeah. Okay. Coming down the road, North Hardin High School, Trojans. Oh, come on, your school is like 10 times that of Fort Knox. You all got to do better next week. North Hardin Trojans. My daughter went to North Hardin, so I can appreciate you. The first, many decades ago, I was a cheerleader at Fort Knox High School. We always cheered against the Trojans. And my daughter was a cheerleader at North Hardin. That was really, really hard to swallow, just saying. But I love you, Trojans. Okay. Coming on down the road here, just barely off of North Hardin, is North Hardin Christian. I know I've got some of you folks out there. Yes! Mr. Astor, good job. Okay, NHC folks, thank you very much. Coming on down the road, we've John Hardin. Got the bulldog in the house? Yes, thank you all very much. All right, all right. Central Hardin. Do I see Central Hardin? Look at this executive crew up here. You got from Central from your executive crew. Wow. Good work, Bruins. Okay. E-Town High School. Is there a Panther? Yes. Look at you all. Look at you all. Go, 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 go. All right, then we've got LaRue County. Do I have any students from LaRue County? Look at you in the back. You all drove the farthest, didn't you? Yes, absolutely. Thank you all very much. We had a great contingent from LaRue last year. I hope you all, especially from Fort Knox and LaRue, when you've got farther to drive, make sure your parents exchange numbers, because there may be nights when you all need a carpool. Okay? So make sure your parents exchange those numbers if you need to. Do I have any homeschool students that came out tonight? Yay! Yes, we appreciate you. I know you're a dad of a homeschool student. I realize you're not the student. You've been homeschooled a long time, haven't you? No, returning dads, we appreciate our parents. Now, if you are a parent in teen court tonight, I hope that you're wondering, I wonder just what I can do to be more involved in my child's life. And your student is going, no, Mom, please not this one. Or Dad, can this one just be mine? Yeah. No, I love the parents. I will tell you this. You go to other counties around the state that have teen court, and you have a sign-up list. And you put in an application. And they have a limited number of spots for teens to do teen court, because they use a judge and a coordinator or two, and we have to manage all the students. So they have to limit the number of students that there are. But we got permission several years ago to take parents who want to. There's really 3 levels of parents that can work. If you want to be that parent that is a part of teen court, you come in every training, you're here for those nights, we need you. Because that's how we can say, if you train, you're in. Because I've got enough parents to act like traffic cops. Make sure you're in the right room you're supposed to be in. Make sure you got your badge. Make sure you're where you're supposed to be. There's no PDA in the hallway stuff, okay? Everybody's professional. We literally have fashion police. I'm not kidding. At the front door, parents are fashion police. You come in, not this time. So literally. But I have to have parents to do that job. So we have some parents that will train every training, all 6 nights of training, and come to teen court throughout the year. And those are our teen court parents. But just like teen court students, you are those teen court parents. I need you. We had a whole bunch of teen court parents age out with their students. I need you. Now, Miss Susie Douglas and Miss Andra Jackson, they were teen court parents, I won't say decades ago, but yeah. And so their students are already grown and have families and are teachers and principals and all those kind of people. But they stayed with me along the way to work as volunteer parents still. But I still need you parents. So if you can convince your student that you will not be sitting by them, because you won't be, that you'll not be hovering over them, because you won't be, then I need you to come back and be a teen court volunteer, a teen court parent. Now, there are other parents who want to be boosters. These are the parents who say, you call me when you need me. You need cookies, I got you covered. You need somebody to bring in a case of water, you need somebody to drive to that social, I got you covered. I cannot do every Thursday night because I've got a child at home. I've got a job that doesn't let me. But I want to be supportive, so when you need something, you let me know. That's our boosters. That's how we got cookies or whatever it is we've got out tonight that I know nothing about, because I love the fact that we have parent boosters and I do not have to know that, okay? I cannot do that. The only reason we have fun in teen court, the fun stuff, the social stuff, is because we have parent boosters who are willing to do that work. And Miss Susie Douglas helps to coordinate that. So Miss Douglas, you're going to have to come down now. They can't see you. You at least come to the middle and wave your hand. She's one of those, she's like Miss Jacobs, she's a worker, and they just don't want to be introduced all the time. So just wave really big. Miss Susie Douglas, hi, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so parent boosters, if you want to be a part of that, just talk to Miss Susie, give her your phone number, email, and she will help put you to work. Now, there's a taxi with parents, okay? We love our taxi parents. Mom taxi, dad taxi, grandparent taxi. The ones that say, you may have my student, I trust you. I will drop them off before 6 o'clock. I will be in the back parking lot at 8:30. You will never have to wait on me or my child. Thank you so much for doing this program. We love you. I will see you at the graduation and maybe never again. It's okay. It's okay. When my daughter was growing up, one of her favorite friends, we grew up together, and Miss Anita did Girl Scouts and I did Rainbow. And we had a promise. I was taxi mom for Girl Scouts. She would never see me unless there was an award night. She was taxi mom for Rainbow. We'd never see her unless there was an installation, and we love that about each other. Because I did one, she did the other, and we were good to go. I need taxi parents, okay? You don't have to do teen court to let your student do teen court, but I need some of those folks that are willing to do that. Now, maybe you're the taxi grandma that says, I'll pick up so-and-so if their parent says, and drop them for them to make sure somebody else gets here. So I really appreciate that. Now, when I use the term parents, I use it loosely, so I don't have to say parent, guardian, or grandparent every time I say the word, okay? So that category of parent means parent, guardian, or grandparent, because we have all those who are making our students have rich and full lives. So parent, guardian, or grandparent, all right? So let those people be a part of your lives, and they can participate with your student. I have folks who are not being raised by a grandparent, but the grandparent is their active teen court parent. Does that make sense? They literally live with mom and dad, but mom and dad have other responsibilities, and they've got a grandparent that really wants to do this with them, and the student agrees. And so you can be that part of their lives for this program. So I hope that you'll consider doing that as well. So that's our parents, that's our students, that's who's coming around here to do teen court. Now, lawyers have fine print. This is the fine print. Do not fill this out tonight, and do not have even baskets to pick it up tonight. I just want you to see it because this may be the only time I see some of you parents. This is your contract. Contracts are binding. You must read the fine print before you sign it. If you try to sign it and leave it out front tonight, then I know you have not read it because you're supposed to be listening. So you can't be reading fine print and listening at the same time. So do not try and turn this in tonight. You're going to take this home. It's not 2 pages of contract, it's 1 page because if you have a good binding contract, you must always keep your own copy, okay? So you're signing the top one to give to me, and you're going to do this. Whose copy is this? It says my copy, because it's your copy, okay? So you're going to bring me back the front one signed by a parent and a student. Parents, please do not just sign this and say, when they say, would you sign this, and you sign it, please read it. Please read it, because it talks about what our expectations are, and I don't want you to be surprised later when we say, I couldn't reach my son at 8 o'clock to find out if you are running on time or not. Well, that's because we take your phones at the front. They don't have their phones in the courthouse. You may as well leave them at home or in the car, because we literally check them in at the front with, on a baggie or a sticky with your name on it, and they don't come past the front door, because we're doing real juvenile cases. And when we do real juvenile work, these are students who have rights of confidentiality. And so we don't even run the chance that someone might accidentally be taking a picture or videotaping something they can't see and sharing it later. So our students leave it all out here. If it's important enough to come to, it's important enough to set aside the time to do so. So phones stay out front and they don't come back in here. So that's one of the things you'll be reminded of if you read the fine print in your contract. So why do we do this stuff anyway? What is teen court? Students from all over the county who are monitored by the parents we've talked about run cases with those commissioners. We take defendants in actual juvenile cases and we give them the sentence to make sure that they've made up for, taken responsibility for their actions. They've either come in front of a court-designated worker or a judge and admitted responsibility. I did it. It really happened. I'm responsible. And then they have consequences to those actions. And courtrooms are where you get consequences when you break the law. And this is where we find out what those consequences are. The local high school students that we train those 6 weeks will be here to act as the prosecutors, as the defense attorneys, as the bailiffs, as the clerk, and as the jury to make those decisions as to what the consequences should be. And if that student, that defendant, carries out those consequences that were set by you as a teen court jury, then they're able to keep that at diversion level and it never goes to a court record. So they get a second chance because you trained and you came out and you did your job. And that's really important to me. This is not a classroom project. This is not a theoretical example. This is not reading a textbook. This is someone for whom you are taking responsibility. That's weighty. Have you ever been in a group project, students, or parents, if you think back a little bit, and there was a group of maybe 4 people on your project and somebody didn't pull their weight? Been there, done that? Because usually my students in here are the ones who pulled somebody's weight for them, frankly. We don't do that around here. That's part of your contract. I promise to pull my weight. So I expect the students that come in here are ready, willing, and able to do that. And the reason you have to pull your weight is that these are real cases. These are not pretend. This is not mock trial. These are real students who have real issues that need to be addressed. And I trust these students with real cases. I trust them with drug offenses. I trust them with assault offenses. We trust them with shoplifting and theft offenses. We trust them with harassment. We trust them with badgering. We trust them with what goes on in their peer group. And if I trust you with that, and I've trained you to do it, then I need you to show up and do your job because somebody is actually counting on you. They're counting on you. If you don't do your job, they're going to get a sentence they might not have deserved. It's important. It's important. And so we have to know that we're doing the work that we're supposed to do. So that's what we do here at Teen Court. We sentence juveniles in actual cases and have them carry out those sentences. Now, behind the scenes, what do? We have a little bit of fun at socials. We meet students that we might not otherwise have met. We learn to work together in groups and be responsible for each other and for our actions. We learn some technology work. We learn some technical terms. We learn how courtrooms work. We learn all those things behind the scenes. But some of the most important things we learn, parents, you'll understand you probably more than the students were, don't come in books and don't come inside necessarily the case file. They come from life. They come from life and the students that we see. I remember when my daughter was in middle school and we would go let her off at James T. Alton, and back then they had the Dress for Success code, where it didn't have to be specific, you had to have a collared shirt, it had to be tucked in, but it wasn't, real particular, but everybody had to look essentially that Dress for Success mode. So when you go to your first class, it's math in the morning at 8 o'clock, 8:30, whatever it is, and you sit next down to the student next to you, you assume in middle school that you're dressed just like that student, that they must live just like you do. They must have a parent who got them up that morning and made sure they had breakfast and made sure that their homework was done the night before and got them on the bus or drove them to school and said, I love you, and kissed them goodbye and checked on them that afternoon and made sure that all their needs were met and their doctor's appointments were met and their forms all got signed and they had their shots for school. And you assume if they look like me, they must be kept well like me. They must have the stability that I have. Because for most of my volunteers, the ones that are here tonight and the ones that volunteer, for most of us, that's the stability that you become accustomed to. And you don't even realize that just because they're sitting in the math class next to you at the same hour, wearing the same kind of Dress for Success, you think they must have all those same things you have. And it may not be the case. Because here in this community, we have folks who live without power, we have folks who live without running water. We have folks who had to borrow the shoes that they have on, that the Resource Center had to help them get a belt to wear to school because they didn't have one and no one in their family had one. No one helped them with their math homework. They got their little sister up and got her on the bus because mom's working 2 jobs through the night to make sure that there is some kind of food on the table. And the Pop-Tart on the bus was the only breakfast they had until they started carrying free breakfast at school. Because they look the same sitting next to you doesn't mean they have the same stability that you may have at home. And you learn that when you work with them in teen court. And your horizons are broadened, and you learn more about the people around you than you may ever have known. You know that there's drugs in our community. If you're in high school, you figured it out by now, right? You probably know where you can get them or where to avoid so that you don't get caught up in them. Your parents probably don't believe that, but it's really true. I bet there's not a high school student in here, unless it's your first day of school, your first week of school, and you just haven't had a chance to figure it out yet. That somebody, you don't know where to get it. It's out there, it's everywhere. Some students get it from their parents' sock drawer. Some parents gave it to their students in this community all the time. I've done juvenile court for 19 years in this community all the time. Did you know that the students on my juvenile docket under 18 have not only charges of marijuana and drug paraphernalia that you might think, oh yes, or alcohol, methamphetamine, heroin? Our students, our county, this year. It's there. I trust your students with those kind of offenses because they know what goes on in their schools, even if they don't talk to you about it. It's here in our community. And these students are the ones who make a difference because they know that in their lives and they know that about these other students that are here for those charges. Here's one thing that I find. Many times the students who come to us as defendants have a perception that everyone around them does it. Everybody does it. You've heard it, right? Everybody does it. You work with defendants and they'll say, why do you even care about marijuana? Everybody does it. It's just a little weed. Now back in my high school days when someone said, did you smoke? That meant did you get to go on the smoke break at lunch outside? Because you were literally allowed to smoke in school as a minor outside. Okay, I really aged myself, didn't I? Nowadays when you say, do you smoke? You're asking, do you use marijuana? But you don't say, do you use marijuana? Okay, kids say, do you smoke? You gotta smoke. It doesn't mean tobacco, okay? We know that about these students. When these students come in, their perception is everybody does it. Because like I said, they may have gotten it from their parents or their parents' sock drawer. Perhaps the students they've surrounded themselves with at school or in their neighborhood, or the people they've chose to associate with. In that group, their reality is everybody does it. Because everybody around them does. The students in this group know. That's not who we are. That's not how we live our lives. I expect you to be lawful, abiding citizens, and marijuana is illegal. You don't do it. You don't do it outside. You don't do it here. You don't talk about it as a recreational opportunity. That is not the way we work. Okay, we have fun, but it is not the way we work. And you must be a law-abiding citizen to be a part of teen court. And when those students come in as student defendants, and they walk in that room, and they come down like Ms. Douglas was walking down, and they look around and all those eyeballs look at them, do you know what they just had? a paradigm shift. Because at that moment, they know that every person in this room that's looking at them, every eyeball, is not doing it. Never again can they walk out those doors and say everybody's doing it, because they just figured out everybody is not doing it. And that's part of life. To realize that your personal reality is not the whole reality. And you have to look at life through someone else's eyes. For those students, they find out, you know what? They're not just all Miss Pris do-gooders out there. They're not just all some kind of geek nerds that do good. We have students from all walks of life, from cultural diversity, from all kinds of personalities, from all schools. And we all have made a decision to be lawful and stable in our actions. And they can look at us and say, oh, that's the kind of students you have here at Teen Court. I can find myself in the face of someone in this room. And they can never again say, everybody does it. That's important to me. That makes a difference in our community. So those teens that volunteer here make a difference just by physically being here and showing who they are to the folks that come in as defendants. Now we have defense attorneys that will make a connection with those defendants individually. And they will truly make a mark on those students. Not that kind of. They'll truly make a difference in the lives of those students. I have students who were in Teen Court last year. I had a couple that were seniors that came back to me and said, so-and-so that I represented as a defense attorney called me later and wanted to know blank. And they texted me and said, Judge Shumate, can you tell me if blah, 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 my defendant wants to know that question? They had represented for 6 months, but they still called that defense attorney of theirs back to ask them that question because they just wanted to understand more and they knew that they could count on that Teen Court student to get them the right answer and lead them in the right direction. That's the kind of students we have here. That's the kind of relationships that we're fostering here because we want to make a difference in the lives of the teens in our community. And that's what we train about. We train law school stuff, but we train real life stuff. I don't hold back. For those of you who know me, I talk really fast and I talk really straight, and I do not hold back. Sometimes it shocks people, but it is what it is. I'm not going to hold back from it. So I think many times we work hard to shelter our students in the sense that we want them to be surrounded by good. And that's important, to show stability, to be surrounded by good. That's really important. But it's also important when you get to the point of high school that you acknowledge what is out there and that you start to be willing to combat that on a personal level. I don't do that. That's not me. We don't do that. That's not safe. That's not healthy. That's not stable. Where's that convention to make those personal decisions? And hopefully, by being in a group like this, you can build that wall of self-determination. You can hold those principles true that help you when you relate to other students in other settings. And that's what we do here at Teen Court. So hopefully that's a nutshell for you about what we do and a little bit about why we do it and maybe a little bit about how long we've been organizing and how long we've actually been in the courtroom. So with that, I'm going to take just a moment and let our students here do something for me. If you're a returning student and you did not put a name tag on, while they're setting up for the mock trial, if you'll wiggle your way up here and put a name tag on. Because after the mock trial, I'm going to do just a couple closing remarks, and we're going to go out front and mingle so you can ask questions of the students with the name tags. So if you've got some returning students in the back and you want to come up and get your name tag on and find a seat again, I'm going to step out and suit up in a black robe, and we're about to do an all rise. So your first lesson in Teen Court is when the bailiff says all rise, that means stand on both feet and stay standing until somebody says you may be seated. I didn't say it yet. Okay. We need to return to the court. Thank you. Take your places. Oh, you were on time. Will you introduce our commissioners?
Yeah, that's fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, I do not yell. When we introduce our commissioners, we acknowledge those commissioners, those local practicing attorneys that work and do our trials so that we can do 2 session trials. One of those I introduced you to was Teresa Renee McMahon on paper, and she's here live and in person. And just like Mr. Astor, Ms. McMahon was a Teen Court alumni who finished high school, finished college, finished law school, came back hometown to practice, and now is a commissioner in Teen Court. So she's literally come full circle from one of our high school spots. So we love having our alumni as a part of our program. So take a name tag if you're returning, settle in. This one is mock trial, okay? This one is mock trial. This is pre-10. If you were in Teen Court and you were a fly on the wall, what would Teen Court look like, okay? If you're one of those parents that's taxi mom or booster parent that you don't do the training, you will never get to see Teen Court look like it but for tonight. The only way you get to walk into a courtroom and watch a trial again is if you're one of those parents who trained all 6 times. Now, deep breath. If you're one of my parents who's trained all 6 times before, you only have to do it once. Okay? The students have to train every year. But parents, you only have to go through training once, and then you're golden. Okay? Yes. So, watch tonight, because if you don't have the time or the inclination to train, this will be the only chance you get to figure out what teen court looks like. I'm going to let my bailiff move the podium, and I'm going to sit down. Just put right in front of me. We're getting ready to still these students. Yep. So if you want to take one of those back table chairs or one of those ones that get out, and the clerk is getting ready while I sit up to get me 12. Right? Yes. You're not going to make you're going to call So if you are a teen, if you're a high school student, and you've never been involved in teen court before, as I walk out the door, you're going to stand and just keep where you are. And our clerk, he is going to select 12 students randomly. And when he points to you, describes your hair color or your shirt color or whatever he does to describe you, then you're going to come have a seat at the jury box. Actually, I need 11 because I've got a jury for a person already selected. So we're going to put 11 people in those seats after I leave. They won't see it. You're not going to see it. Okay. If they can't see a witness, we can see if there's a witness. So you're not going to see over here. Is that better? Got it? Cool. All right, ready? Find 11.
Any volunteers? 1, 2, 3 in the back.
Both sides.
Last year, nobody.
Spread the love.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in the back. Girl. Yes.
You have just been chosen to teen court jury. I know how to do all the things. Everybody likes to
All rise. Hear ye, hear ye. The Hardin County Teen Court is now in session. The Honorable Kimberly Winkenhofer-Shoemake presiding. All you who have motions to make or causes to be heard, come forward and you shall be heard. God bless the Commonwealth of Kentucky and this honorable court. Be seated and remain quiet.
Good evening and welcome to our session of the Hardin County Teen Court. We're ready to begin our trial for this evening. This is in the matter of Commonwealth versus Taylor Garrett. And our bailiff has called us to order. Our clerk has announced our jury individuals. Is the prosecution ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is defense counsel ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
And we call our juries to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here this evening in a session of the Hardin County Teen Court for the purpose of sentencing Taylor Garrett, who has been charged with possession of marijuana. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And he has admitted the truthfulness, or she in this case, has admitted the truthfulness of those allegations. It is now the duty of this teen court to listen to the relevant testimony of the defendant, the arguments of counsel, and to recommend an appropriate sentence. This complaint comes to you and reads as follows. That on or about March the 9th of 2016, the above-named juvenile was seen by a teacher dropping a small plastic bag during class containing green leafy substances. When asked about it, she turned in the opposite direction and started running. Police were called and caught the above juvenile a block from the school. And those are the allegations concerning possession of marijuana on school premises. I appreciate each of you who have taken your time to be with us here tonight. I would like to remind you that we are here in the interest of justice in our society. We should base our decision on the goals of teen court, to hold a juvenile accountable for her actions, including to make up for any harm that she may have caused, and to develop her skills and competencies so that she can be a productive member of society, and to reconnect Taylor to her community by involving you, the community, in her disposition. Is there any person who has been called to jury service by the clerk who has personal knowledge of this defendant or the circumstances surrounding these charges? Anyone known as Taylor? Surely not, it's a mantra. If so, we would ask you, would that hamper your ability to make a fair decision in this case? Hearing none, would those of you who are in your jury box please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that you will impartially try the case between the parties and give a true verdict according to the evidence and the law unless otherwise dismissed by the court? If so, please say, I do. I do. Do you further swear or affirm that you will not reveal to anyone what has been discussed here at teen court? If so, please say, I do.
I do.
Thank you. Counsel, the procedure this evening will be as follows. We will begin with opening remarks from the prosecution, followed by opening remarks from defense counsel. The only witness this evening will be the defendant. She'll be questioned first by her own attorneys and then cross-examined by the prosecution. There may be redirect from defense counsel, and if the questioning should warrant, cross-examination. We will then hear the jury instructions, and we'll hear our closing remarks. The defense will have the first closing, and the prosecution will have the final closing as you bear the burden of proof. The jury will then deliberate to determine an appropriate sentence for Taylor this evening. Counsel, are there any procedural issues before we begin?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may begin with opening remarks from the prosecution. You may begin.
Your Honor, opposing counsel, and ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Like Elias Forrest Gump once said, life's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. In this instance with Taylor Garrett, we see that we got a bad life. We see a life of mistakes and, well, bad actions. Throughout this case, we're going to learn about what she's done and what her life is. And I urge you to, at the worst, have the best sentencing possible for her case that teaches her a lesson for her actions. There are consequences to every action that you're taking. And well, it's up to you to have that, the right consequences.
Thank you. Opening remarks from defense counsel.
May it please the court, Your Honor, opposing counsel, and ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I am Virgil Lyon, and my co-counsel is Logan Simmons, and we represent the defendant, Taylor Garrett. Taylor's made some bad choices, haven't we all? But I feel as if Taylor hasn't been able to grasp the gravity of her choices. We would like to demonstrate to her that we want her to learn and not just serve her some punishment. I would like to see the jury to focus. I'd like the jury to focus hard today and see that Taylor is in fact a good person deep down inside, and that all she needs for right now is a meaningful sentence. Thank you.
Thank you. You may call your witness.
I call Taylor Garrett to the stand.
You come forward, please, Ms. Garrett, to the stand here as indicated by the bailiff. Would you raise your right hand? Do you hereby swear or affirm that any testimony you may give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may be seated. Answer first, please, the questions of your counsel, and then any that the prosecution may have. I'll remind you that the microphone there is just for recording during the day. It will not amplify your voice, so be sure to keep your words loud.
State your name for the record.
Taylor Garrett,
How old are you?
17,
Where do you go to school?
Eton High.
Who do you live with?
My aunt.
Do you have any siblings?
I have an older sister.
How would you say your relationship is with your family?
It's pretty rough right now.
What would you say your grades in school are?
They're pretty low.
Do you plan on improving these grades?
I mean, I can try.
Do you do any community service?
I used to volunteer in the soup kitchen.
What is your favorite thing to do after school?
Objection, Your Honor, irrelevant.
And your response?
I believe it's relevant to reflecting her character. Your Honor.
Since we're here to determine who she is and how we might better her, I'll find that it's relevant. Objection is noted but overruled.
So, what's your favorite thing to do after school?
I used to cheer and I run track.
I'd like to pass the remainder of my questions to my co-counsel. Your Honor.
You may.
Ms. Garrett, can you please walk me through what happened that day?
Well, I was in this artist class and my friend told him he
say you've been doing drugs for a long time?
Maybe 6 months or so.
Do you still use drugs?
I mean, I haven't recently, but I really just kind of stress at one time or not.
Were you pressured into doing any of this? When did you plan on using the drugs?
Probably that weekend with visitation with my mom.
Would you ever do anything like this again?
I mean, like I said before, I don't know.
And have any of your family members ever done drugs?
I don't have all used to.
Would you say that inspired you to use them?
No, not really. You kind of pass away from an overdose.
No further questions, John?
Thank you. Cross-examination, you may begin when you're ready.
So, when you say you're good at school,
It used to be.
is it true on January 31st you were caught using your phone in class?
More than likely, yes.
Can you tell me about your grades? And how well you do in school?
They're pretty low. I think I have an A though.
Your honor, may I approach the bench?
You may.
May I approach the podium, opposing counsel?
You may.
May I approach the bench again?
You may. First witness, yes.
Read those off for me.
PE, A, English, F, Math, D, History, F, and Spanish, C.
Okay, so while you're grading, grades are
I don't really have time at home to really study and anything like that.
but you have time in school to get on your phone.
I mean, I'm using Google.
Why are your grades so bad? You're on your phone a lot, and your grades are obviously low.
I guess it could be because my phone is bad.
So, would you agree that being on your phone doesn't distract you from class?
I mean, I'm looking up the answers. I mean, it's kind of helping.
So you look up answers?
Yes.
Would that be cheating? I'm not. Why not?
I mean, choosing my resources.
Okay. I'd like to ask you many of my questions for tonight.
You may. And do better poker face on the building.
Do you believe that you are respectful to others? For the most part, yes. Your Honor, may I approach the podium?
You may.
May I approach the bench?
You may.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
Can you read all that is highlighted, please? On January 31st, Taylor Garrett was using her phone in class. Her teacher asked her to put it away, and she responded, "Make me." On August 27th, Taylor Garrett went up to another student and threatened to fight them. So, would you agree that threatening to fight with another student isn't showing respect towards them? Would you agree that telling an authoritative teacher, "Make me," isn't showing her the respect that she deserves? Yes. Did you know that according to Dr. Gazer, smoking marijuana can slow down your brain development? I was aware of that. Did you know that your brain doesn't fully develop until you are 25 years of age? I didn't know that. And how old are you? 17. So you have 8 years. 8 more years for your brain to develop. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Did you know that smoking marijuana actually increases your stress level?
You may. You may.
Can you please describe to the jury what you were doing in this picture? I was taking a selfie with my socks. What are on the socks? And on the leaves? Can you swap to the next picture, please? Can you tell the jury what's on that picture? To make marijuana against the law is like saying God made a mistake. Swap to the next picture, please. Now, what did you guys on Facebook? I would fight anybody. I know I can't beat everybody, but I'm not scared of nobody. May I finish doing this?
You may. Do you wish to publish those to the jury this time?
Can I hold till deliberation?
You may hold those for deliberation. When we're ready to go back to deliberation, you have the opportunity to review those exhibits.
You seem kind of embarrassed to say this, are you? Yes, a little bit. But you're not embarrassed to post it on Facebook, which I looked at your friends count and it's way more. You have way more friends than people in this. You have way more friends on Facebook than people in this whole courtroom. Do you believe that marijuana is a gateway drug?
Objection, Your Honor. Stipulation.
Do you have a response? If you have a question based upon research, then the witness would be asked whether or not they're aware of that and have an opinion. Do you have an opinion? You may ask your question. Go ahead.
Okay. Do you believe that marijuana is a gateway drug? Yes. If you are under the influence of marijuana, couldn't you have tried other drugs without realizing?
Objection, Your Honor, speculation.
And you have a response? That would be speculation, and the objection is sustained. The witness is not required to answer.
I recall you earlier saying that your grandfather died of a drug overdose, correct? Then why would you follow in his footsteps? Nothing further, Your Honor.
Can you read the breath?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may question.
Your grandfather, did he approve of what you were doing?
I know, he always told me, Taylor, don't you do that, it's bad. And I just didn't.
And how long ago did you do that for? Has that increased your stress level?
Yes.
Would you say he was a mentor? Would you say he's like a father figure to you?
Yes, my dad was around.
No other questions, Your Honor?
Did those questions raise others?
Yes, Your Honor. If your grandfather was a mentor to you and told you, Taylor, do not do drugs, you said he was a mentor, you're supposed to listen to your mentors. And did you? I think so.
Thank you. You may step down and speak to counsel. It is now the court's responsibility to give the jury the instructions in the matter. Upon retiring, your first responsibility will be to acknowledge the jury foreperson. You should then begin your jury deliberations so that you may reach a consensus recommending the type of constructive sentence most appropriate for this defendant, Taylor Garrett, on her charges of possession of marijuana, to which she has admitted the truthfulness of the allegations. The teen jury's recommendation must be unanimous. We prepared a list of teen court constructive sentencing possibilities for your use. These are a list that is used in all Kentucky teen courts. However, you are encouraged to draft a sentencing recommendation that is tailored to this defendant and the specific facts of her charges. We'll now listen to the closing remarks. Defense counsel, you may begin when you are ready.
Your Honor, closing argument. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Ms. Garrett, she's got a yourself, what does it mean to be human? We've all been there. We've all thought, who am I? What am I doing? Is this the right thing? Is it the wrong thing? Well, being human means, in my opinion anyway, being human means making mistakes and learning from them. If you cannot make a mistake, then how are you ever going to go and move up in life and learn? Mistakes are what molds people into the people they grow up to be. With that, defense asked 30 hours of teen service, a drug testing workbook or drug testing for 6 months, a drug and alcohol workbook, and tutoring until C average. Thank you.
Thank you. Prosecution, you have closing remarks.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may address when you're ready.
Your Honor, opposing counsel, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. As my co-counsel Nate said at the beginning of this case, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. You never know if you're going to get the good spirit, the one that works at a soup kitchen, or the misspirit that talks back to teachers, that doesn't show respect, the misspirit that threatens other students. And that's the cons outweigh the bad outweighs the good. We as prosecution asked 50 hours of community service, a mod squad referral, respect workbook, an essay on the dangers of drugs, no contact with the student that she got the drugs from, a drug workbook, and drug testing for 6 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, come forward, please. And would you raise your right hand? Do you hereby swear or affirm that you will effectively sequester this jury panel, that you will prevent them from having contact with persons not members of the panel during their deliberations? You can make known to the court when they have a question, if they have a verdict, or if they have some special need. If so, please say, I do.
I do.
You may get the exhibits from the clerk. And ladies and gentlemen, if you go with the jury foreperson, you may begin your deliberations at this time. And actually, just stay seated. In a real trial, the attorneys will be popping up whenever the jury moves in, pop up for respect. And you need to go down here to the jury room all by yourselves. Only yourselves. No adults present. Only you as teenagers. So tonight, we have a jury foreperson, and so her job is to lead your discussion in about 30 seconds. Face in, listen to your jury foreperson, and she'll tell you what you're going to do now. reach a court level. It's important. This is your first time ever to have a reason to be in a courthouse. And I encourage you to take that sentencing recommendation seriously. Pass the drug screens. Do the community service. Look at those workbooks. Make a difference and use this as the opportunity to make a change in your life. It cannot be easy to sit on a witness stand and answer those questions in front of a room full of people. But it's even harder to watch a loved one die down a path that you may have started. This is your opportunity to make a U-turn and to make a difference. We encourage you to do so. We will give you the strength that you need here by supporting you in that. If you need treatment to pass those screens, then you ask that when you go talk to Ms. Jacobs, and we'll get you signed up in some classes, we'll help you get some meetings, we'll mentor you with someone else who's had those issues before. We won't make you do it alone. But if you do not pass those drug screens, in this case, when you go into traditional juvenile court, and you could be looking at jail time. Do you understand the seriousness of these issues you have today? Okay. The bailiff is going to escort you and your parents down to see Ms. Jacobs so you'll be able to sign those. I expect that you're going to complete that diversion successfully. Thank you, and the rest of you may be seated. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that was not scripted. I didn't know until tonight what those charges were going to be. That is 100% teens taking over the courthouse. Great job, guys. So your teen court players tonight were, for the defense, Logan Simmons, North Hardin High School senior, Virgil Lyon, Central Hardin High School senior. The defendant was Caitlin Tucker from Central Hardin High School junior. You would never have answered those questions had it been the real Caitlin Tucker. The prosecution, Ms. Katie Mackley, Central Hardin High School junior. Nate Reisner, LaRue County High School junior. Our bailiff was Sam Smith at this end from Central Hardin junior. Mary Giron from LaRue County in the back was holding forward back there. Thank you. Our jury board person was our own Monty Bay. Did she get you together well and easy? And our clerk, thank you, Silver Lawler. Great job for the mock trial players. Excellent. And I promise you, Caitlin, that was a tougher seat tonight than ever, wasn't it?
I was really nervous.
I can completely understand it. It's a hot seat to be in. So at this point, I want to give you a couple of quick reminders, and then we're going to recess out to the courthouse lobby. Look for the students who have name tags on, ask them questions. Just come up to them. They're here because they want to answer your questions. Okay? Next week, starting on Thursday night, we come here before 6 because we'll start at 6 o'clock. If you want to be a part of teen court, be back. Bring a friend. Come and be part of what we're doing. Next week is modest casual, so you do not have to do all the don't you look sharp for teen court yet. We'll have our training manuals here. We'll have those kind of lawyers that we've got on the board that are going to help you train throughout this session. I promise you, this is collegiate level and post-grad work. We take it down to a high school level, but we expect a lot. We do not water down justice for you. We'll give you 3 years of law school and 6 weeks of training, and you're going to come out looking like this by the end of the year. I promise you. These students that we have a level of integrity and dedication bar none. You will not find this group anywhere else. And invite somebody that you think is like you, that wants to make a difference in the lives of teens. The more diverse a group I have, the more schools I have represented, the more rich this year is going to be for you. So I look forward to being a part of your students' lives, and when I change back to my name tag work instead of a robe, I'll meet you all outside. All the questions will be out that way. Please join us there, and thank you for coming out tonight.